guys. So today we're going to be talking about all the puppy supplies and gear that I have found super helpful to have on hand when I am raising and training a puppy. So basically this is going to be kind of broken down into 3 different categories. One's going to be just a basic puppy supplies list of things that I think are helpful. And then the other one's going to be more geared towards, no pun intended, geared towards whenever I'm actually formally training my puppy. And then the other one will be things I like to take out in public with me when I have my puppy out in public. So the first one is puppy supplies list. And the first thing that always comes to my mind when I think of new puppy supplies is bowls. You need bowls for food and water. Any kind of bowl. It's really not, it doesn't have to be particular. I like stainless steel for water. No tip can be helpful. For my food dishes, that's not as important to me since I feed them in their crates and it's not up all the time. I don't free feed. So, and then a crate. I personally really like the hard plastic shipping crates. I know not everybody does, and that's totally okay. My personal opinion, and you don't have to agree with me on this, and that's fine, is puppies crate train better in the hard plastic ones. It's just been my experience, but wire crates also work as well. If you do decide to go with the wire crate, I would recommend covering it with a blanket or buying a specially made cover for it. I feel like the den atmosphere of it being more covered makes the puppies feel safe. In my personal opinion, I feel like they like that better. So then collars, I like to buy the buckle collars instead of instead of belt buckle, more like the snap style where they just snap in. This is metal. Usually they come in plastic, like this. This is not a collar, but the snap ones. And that's because I have found we had an experience with a buckle style collar that ended up being very, very hazardous and could have ended up really bad. But anyway, so I always do the snap because you can release them much quicker, much easier. And in case of emergency, the buckle style, you have to actually get it tighter in order to loosen it. And so if your dog's choking because it's caught up in something, it's not going to work. So I always gravitate towards that. If you have a really young puppy, like 8 to 12 weeks old, then you're going to need to go through at least 2 different collar sizes. Probably small is what you're going to have to end up starting out with, of course, depending on your breed. And then medium and, depending on your breed, large possibly. So measure your puppy's neck. Most collars have guides on exactly those measuring size guides. That's what word I'm looking for. Then I like to do a 6-foot nylon leash if I can find it. So this is just, I call it nylon. I think that's what it's made out of, fabric or something like it's nylon. And I actually personally don't like to train with those types of leashes, but I do like to use them for around the house because they're cheaper, they're lighter weight than leather, which is my preferred leash. They are not as expensive, so if your puppy does chew through it or it gets dirty or whatever, buying a new one isn't as big of a deal. I also use these for tethers a lot, so they get a lot of use. And then toys, obviously the sky is the limit with all sorts of different styles and kinds of toys. Everybody has their own opinions, and every dog has their own preferences. But some of my favorites are Cons. If it's Con brand, then it's probably worth a try, in my experience. Stuffed toys aren't really my favorite, but a lot of dogs like them. If you don't mind picking up stuffing, then you might be okay with them too. Balls, rope bones, antlers, lawn tugs, all those types of things are great. Treats, obviously. You're going to need treats if you're going to have a puppy. I'm actually going to be doing a separate web class on everything about treats and how I use treats, the kinds of treats that I use, the different values, and how I use those values. So be on the lookout for that web class coming out, hopefully not before too long. And then bully sticks, which will also be included more in depth in that web class because I don't look at them as a toy, I look at them as a treat. And I see sometimes there's a little bit of confusion on how to use those properly, so I want to address that in that web class. And then the Con Classic or Con Wobbler or Snuffle Mat or Slow Feeder Dish, these things are all geared toward the idea of building food food motivation in your dog. So the idea of teaching him that he has to work for his meals. So you can do this by putting your puppy's meals in a Con Wobbler, which is like, it looks kind of like the Con Classic, but it unscrews and you can put food inside, and it has a little hole, and your dog has to push it around in order to get treats out or the food out. You can do a snuffle mat, which I'm actually in the process of making one right now. So hopefully I can have an update on that before too long. And or a slow feeder dish. Right now I'm using slow feeder dishes for both Jubes and Xerxes. Xerxes could use it because he does eat fast. Jubes doesn't eat fast at all, but I want her to have to work for her food. So she has to work to get in all the little crevices. And it's just building that idea of we have to do something in order to eat instead of it's just free handed to us in a bowl. Although I do still use bowls, don't get me wrong. It's just both. And then tethers and or baby gates. I actually use both tethers and baby gates, but I use tethers very heavily. And I probably in the future will do a video about how I use tethers, because they are absolutely instrumental in how I potty train and house manners train my puppies under 4 months old, or any dog who needs house manners. So those are really important. Like I said earlier, I typically just use a leash. I hook it up to something safe. Obviously, please use your judgment, and you do not hook your puppy up to something that he can pull over. But hook it up to something strong and sturdy, and that way I can move it around. A lot of other trainers I know like to use X pins, like exercise pins in the house. I don't, because I like tethers better, because number one, I don't have room in my house to do that. My house is smaller, and I also just constantly moving my tether to wherever I'm at the moment. Tethers just make more sense for me. And then the baby gates, usually I don't need baby gates as much when my puppy's super young, but as he starts getting more house freedom, then we use baby gates to block off areas of the house where he just isn't mature enough to handle yet, like back rooms or something like that. A bed or a mat. So obviously there's all sorts of different kinds of styles of beds. Currently right now we have the softer beds, but I would love to get an elevated bed soon, and try those out because I've heard good things about them. And a mat, which is just basically a towel or a blanket or something like that for teaching relax on a mat. And then grooming tools, and this is going to vary from breed to breed, and when golden doodles, it varies from how much they take after a golden retriever or the poodle. So you need to talk to your breeder about specific tools for your puppy, but we all need grooming tools. So as far as formal training goes, some of the extra things I like to have is a 6-foot leather leash. Because I like leather. I feel like it's soft. It's easy on your hands. Nylon can burn, and leather doesn't do that. It also is more shock absorbing, and in my experience, obviously we don't want our dogs to pull, and hopefully that's not something our dogs do for a long time, our puppies. But every puppy is going to pull because they don't, in the beginning, because they don't know any different. So it can be really helpful, especially with big dogs. Puppies their pulling isn't as hard on us physically, but especially bigger dogs or adolescents, leather is really nice for that shock absorbing effect. And I have on the website, under resources, you can go and I have a link to the kind of leather leashes that I use. Then a treat pouch, which it can be anything. Mine is the Doggone treat pouch. It's the only one I've ever had, so I don't know what the other ones are like, but just use whatever one works for you. A clicker, which I have somewhere. Here we go. Mine is a Star Mark clicker, which is the only one I've ever used. And I like it because of the distinct sound. It's crisper than some of the other, well, I can't say it's the only one I've ever used. Take that back. I have used a few others. It's the only one I like, so that I have used. It's crisper than some of the other ones I've used, and I like that because I feel like it catches my dog's attention better. I would like to try a box clicker because I've heard that they're quieter and so maybe a little bit more appropriate for out in public. And then a lawn line, which I have always in the past, I've always used clothesline and just put a clip on the end, but I'm really liking the lawn line that I have now, which actually is like a leash style. Usually 15 foot is a good length for that. I think mine's 20 feet, which I don't know why. I wanted 15, so I don't know why about 20. I think it's 20 foot. That can be a little bit extra. It's a little bit of a lot to manage, but 15 foot is usually the recommended. Usually what I do. Well, actually, I don't know. I don't know that for sure because I've always done a clothesline, so it was just whatever felt comfortable. But this is 20 foot, I'm pretty sure. Then a Y front harness, which is basically, I'm going to give you an idea what this looks like. If you can see that, it's kind of that Y shape. Basically, the point of that is you want one that's non. Collar with ID tags. I personally, and everybody needs to do what they feel comfortable about this. I personally don't have my dogs wear ID tags at home because I find that they typically lose them as they just work off the collar and fall off. But when I'm out in public, I like ID tags. I want that. I just want that extra security, knowing that if my puppy were to get away somehow, then he would be able to be identified. I also typically use a specific collar for outings, just because I can leave my ID tags on it, and it stays nicer, so it's nicer for going out. The waste bags, because we want to be responsible pet owners and clean up after our dogs, and because going into the second one, paper towels or a towel for if the puppy gets car sick. That's pretty much what I use them for. And the waste bags can also come in handy then, because I have used many a times, I've used them for puke bags instead of waste bags, and they work great for that. Baby wipes, that would be or paper towel, depends on your preference, would be to wipe off your hands if your treats are a little bit slimy or oily or anything like that, which most treats are, especially if you use dog food, all that salt and oil. And then a portable water dish, which I have mine with me. There's all sorts of different kinds. I like the Outward Hound collapsible one. You can literally just fold it up and stick it in your pocket. There's kinds that are plastic and they like pull out, so to speak. Use whatever you want. I like this kind because it's so compactable. But water bowls are portable water bowls are really helpful, especially in the summertime. So that is all that I have for today. If you have any questions, definitely feel free to drop a comment. If you have any questions about reinforcement, That's what class is going to be coming out, like I said, hopefully next month. So I'll be on the lookout for a question collection post for that one. So talk to you guys later. Bye.